What's good, YouTube? Gunner here, and welcome to the channel. So before we get started, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that way you know when I drop a new video. And also make sure you guys join the Discord community. Also join the Patreon for a very low price. And also make sure you guys follow me on Twitter. Alright, so we're going to get into the Chronomaly deck profile now. So the skill that we're using is Gateway to Another Dimension. As you can see on screen, I posted up where how you can read it. So it says send one monster from your deck or extra deck from the graveyard and change the level of all monsters on your field to the level / rank of the monster you sent to the graveyard. And then also, if you sent a monster from your graveyard from the deck, you can send one monster from your hand to the graveyard. So very good way to pile up the deck. To pile up the graveyard if you decide to go that route. And then also, this skill will only activate if you begin the duel with a deck that follows these conditions below. It would be your deck / edge deck contains no monsters other than Chronomaly monsters or light number monsters. And then also, your deck contains 12 or more Chronomaly monsters. So honestly, it doesn't give you that big of a room to be able to tech other things in. But as a standalone deck, this is actually a really fun and strong deck. Alright, so you're going to see that I play 2 copies of Chronomaly Moai. So this is pretty much a free special summon from the hand when you control a Chronomaly monster. That way you can proc your skill and then be able to go into one of the extra deck monsters. So a very good card. Then I run 3 copies of Chronomaly Crystal Bones. So what this card does is, if your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card. When special summoned this way, you can special summon a Chronomaly monster from your hand or graveyard. So a very good way to have follow up on your next turn, or even on your second turn after your opponent's already played their turn out. Then I got 3 copies of Chronomaly Crystal Skull. It's a very good card. So what this card does is, if you control a Chronomaly monster, you can discard this card to the graveyard, add 1 Chronomaly monster from your deck or graveyard to the hand. So a very good way to recycle cards that were sent to the graveyard, or just grab any monster that you might need that turn. So very good. Then I run 3 copies of Chronomaly Nebra Disc. Very powerful card. What this card does is, when this card is normal summoned, you can add 1 Chronomaly card from your deck to the hand except itself. So that part right there is really good, because you're going to be able to grab spell or even trap cards of the Chronomaly archetype. So that's very good if you decide to grab a certain 1 of or a certain 2 of from the deck. And it's really good. And then also, its graveyard effects is actually really strong too. It says, if this card is in the graveyard and all monsters you control are currently Chronomaly monsters, a minimum of 1, you can special summon this card in defense position. You cannot activate cards or effects during the turn you activate this effect, except Chronomaly cards and effects. You can only use 1 Chronomaly Nebra Disc effect per turn, and only once that turn. So, you normal summon, grab whatever you want, it can send to the graveyard, you can't use it again. So, very good, very powerful card. You definitely want 3 of. Alright, and then I run 1 copy of Chronomaly Mud Golem. Honestly, this is more so just to have more names. That way I can make sure that my skill for sure goes off. But what this card does is pretty decent. It says, if a Chronomaly monster you control attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. So it's definitely good to get over anybody that's maybe playing Blue Eyes and uses the White Stone of Ancients. You know, it's very low defense. You can attack and get a lot of damage that way. So it's definitely a good card in that aspect. Alright, so now on to the spell and trap cards. Here we got one copy of Chronomaly Technology. There's only a one of in the game. It's a really good card. So basically what it does is you target a Chronomaly monster in your graveyard, you banish it, then take a look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You add one of them to your hand and send the other to the graveyard. Super good, because this helps you, 1, thin out the decks, 2, drawing is always good. Getting a free card to the graveyard and to the hand, really good. Yeah, so that's definitely a really good card. And then it says you can only activate 1 Chronomaly Technology per turn. You cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate this card, except Chronomaly monsters. So it's definitely a really good card. Then I'm running 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. Easy way to pop your opponent's back row. It's a quick play, so you can do it on their turn, your turn. Doesn't really matter. And then I'm running 2 copies of Book of Moon. Pretty much a way to interrupt your opponent when he's going off or she's going off, regardless. They swing in, you flip Book of Moon, put it face down. If it's a normal summon card that does something else, you can flip it face down. Really powerful card. There are definitely other tech options if you don't own a Book of Moon. But if you do, very powerful card. And then I run 1 copy of Chronomaly Pyramid Eye Tablet. A lot of lists don't run this card. I run this card because 1, it is searchable through Nebra Disc, and it's also 800 attack boost. So it's really good in that aspect, and that's why I like it. That's why it's in my deck list. If you don't like it, if you think it might cause a brick, that's okay. Don't run the card. But those are the reasons that I run the card. Alright, so now I run 2 copies of Forbidden Chalice. Really good, powerful card. What it does is you target 1 face-up monster on the field to the end of the turn. It gains 400 attack, but also its effects are negated. So you can both use this card offensively and defensively. So offensively, you can swing into a monster in the damage step, and it gets boosted by 400, and then you can swing over problematic cards. Now, in order to use it defensively, you could 1, use the card to stop an opponent, right? If they have a card that activates on summon or whatever the case may be, you can negate the effects. And then another way you can use it is if your opponent swings into you in the damage step, activate it, 400 boost, destroy that card in the damage step. Very good. Then I run 1 copy of Treacherous Trap Hole. I get it. It's a blowout card. It's too good. People want it banned. It is what it is. While it's here, I'm going to use it, and so should you. There's definitely ways to play around it, okay? So it's not impossible to play around, but, you know, play it if you got it. If you don't, there are other tech cards that you can use. Alright, so we're going to move on to the extra deck now. Here, we're running 1 copy of Chronomaly Atlantis. Very powerful card. On your first turn, you can actually end the turn by cutting your opponent's life points in half, then also having a really powerful boss monster. So basically what this card does, it says when it's Exceed Summon, you can target one number monster in your graveyard, equip that target. Then the card gains attack equal to half the attack of the equipped monster. Then it also says once per turn you can detach 1 Exceed material from this card, then send the monster equipped by the effect to the graveyard to halve your opponent's life points in half. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this effect. That's perfectly fine. If you do end up going first with this deck, a lot of the times I tend to do that. Cut my opponent's life points in half, and then see what they can do on their turn. So very good card indeed. Alright, so now I run 3 copies of number 25, Force Focus. A very good card. A lot of the time I'm sending 1 to the graveyard off of the skill, and then bringing out Chronomaly Atlantis, equipping, it gets a boost, and then if I decide to half the life points, I send to the graveyard. But pretty much what this card does is once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach 1 Exceed material from this card, then target 1 level 5 or higher effect monster your opponent controls, negate the effects of that opponent's monster face up until the end of the turn. A very good card, a good way to interrupt your opponent, And yeah, it's 2800. It's really strong, very good card. All right, so now we run 2 copies of Chronomaly Chateau Huac. So what this card does is, once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach a seed material from this card, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls, change its attack to 0 until the end of the turn. You contribute 1 Chronomaly monster, then target 1 monster your opponent controls, whose current attack is different from the original attack, and destroy that target. So in the same turn, you could put it to 0 and destroy it. But a lot of the time, you just want to hold the effect until the damage step, activate the effect, put their monster to 0. When they swing in, their monster gets destroyed. Very powerful card. And then lastly, I run 1 copy of number 18, Patriarch. This is for majority of the time for the cyber harpies. Okay, a lot of the time they, in order to go into their harpy lady, they tend to bring out multiple harpy ladies that all are considered a harpy lady in the name. So if you have this card out on the field, they can't do that. They're stopped. They're screwed. Okay, so if you know you're going against a harpy lady first turn, or a My Valentine, whatever the case may be, make sure you bring this out first turn. That way they're screwed. Okay. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile as much as I did. So basically, this build here is a little bit different compared to other builds. It's definitely a lot of testing, trials, being able to duel people and duel other friends with this deck, and pretty much trying to be able to win as much as possible, but also be consistent as possible. So that's what this deck is really good at, having a lot of consistency. And then there's a lot of power cards in this deck that can keep you from being destroyed on the ladder. Okay, and a lot of the times you want to be able to do your best at reading your opponent. Read the hourglasses. Try to predict what your opponent might have face down, or maybe even in the hand. So far, I'm seeing a lot of Kiteroids, a lot of Sphere Karibos, and a lot of back row hate. So pretty much build the deck as you go along. There are definitely tech options if some of these cards on the screen you don't have. Make sure you guys let me know in the comment section down below, and I can provide you guys with a little bit of a cheaper build, and then we could actually try that and test that out. But anyway, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys. We're still on the road to 100 subs on YouTube. Help me get there, guys. I really appreciate it. Might be doing a giveaway at 100 subs. So help me get there. And thank you guys so much for watching, and have a beautiful, amazing day.